Hello, 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 citizens of the Writer's Corner. My name is author Anthony Avina, your host of this podcast, and welcome to episode 34. This week's topic, we are going to be talking about my top 5 books I'm looking forward to in 2016. These are the most anticipated books I have on my reading list this year. As always, we have our little schedule. We have a couple of pop culture news headlines. I'm going to give you guys a update on Lexington and 5th. This is week 5 of the ongoing year-long book that I'll be writing. I also have a review for Miranda Singh's self-help book. And then we're going to get to the main stage, the 5 books I'm looking forward to in 2016. First, let's get on with our pop culture news, shall we? Director Josh Boone has delayed the film adaptation of The Stand, Stephen King's iconic apocalyptic book, to focus on another one of Stephen King's most recent works, Revival. Revival kind of tells the story of a boy affected by a small town preacher with kind of out there views on the world, and the lifelong journey he goes through, where he continues to bump into this preacher and has an impact on his life. It's a very interesting look inside the mind of someone who has lost a lot in life, and the extraordinary journey two men who have each lost something go through. The Josh Boone still intends to adapt The Stand, but it has been put on the back burner while he continues to adapt Revival. And the second little news item we have today, powerful actress Elizabeth Banks has been cast in the upcoming Power Rangers reboot as the villain of the series, and this reboot is, I believe, a film series they're planning, and she's going to be playing the iconic villain Rita Repulsa from the original TV series. Rita Repulsa is an evil witch imprisoned for thousands of years who is freed and has plans to pretty much take over the world. Don't all villains do that? I'm very excited to see this. I grew up watching the Power Rangers, and I'm really excited to see what kind of work they do. Elizabeth Banks is a fantastic actress, and I can't wait to see what she does with her role. So, now on to Lexington and 5th, Week 5. First of all, the song of the week is Battle of One by 30 Seconds to Mars. And there's a reason why I chose this song. If you guys aren't caught up to date, last week, week 4, things kind of took a turn for the worst for one of the characters. The main premise of this beginning part of the book was the setup for this practical joke that this group of people were going to pull on a guy that their friend liked. And they did it because they thought he wasn't cool enough to be hanging out with them and be hanging out with this girl. So they set up this guy. The girl has been rushing to stop it, and one of the friends backs out at the last minute, hoping to stop it before it begins, but it doesn't quite work out that way, unfortunately, and the prank happens. Spoiler alert for you guys if you haven't read it yet. The prank happens, and what's about to happen this week in week, in week 5 is you're going to see the aftermath of this really bad prank that just goes wrong really, really fast. And this week is really important because it's going to be what sets up the rest of the year. This is the chapter that really sets up the main story, and it's going to have an impact on all these characters throughout the whole year. So this is the chapter to read. And if you haven't read the whole thing yet, I suggest you go on Wattpad, you search for either author Anthony Avina, or you can search for the story itself, Lexington and 5th. If you guys aren't familiar, I'm going to be writing a chapter a week and publishing it on Wattpad, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And I also have another project that I'll looking forward to discussing with you guys soon. Stay tuned if you're on YouTube to my daily vlogs and also Periscope. I'm going to be doing a Periscope session soon where I talk about this upcoming project, and I'm really excited about it. So now let's go on to item number 3. I'm going to do a quick little review of Miranda Singh's self-help book, and if you guys want my full opinions on it, you can either read the review on my blog, authoranthonyavina.tumblr.com, or you guys can see my upcoming video on YouTube where I do my January book wrap-up, and that's where I wrap up on all the books that I've read in January, as well as give a preview of the books I plan on reading in February, my February TBR. So here are a few thoughts on Miranda Singh's self-help book. Yeah, it's time for the haters to back off. That's right, self-proclaimed internet sensation Miranda Sings has released her step-by-step guide to living a successful life, and that book is called Self-Help. This humorous book manages to expertly retain the same voice and talent that Sings herself has on her widely popular YouTube channel. Written in the guise of Miranda by her creator and the woman who brings her to life, Colleen Evans, along with her brother Christopher Ballinger, this book is a self-help guide that takes her quote-unquote Mirandas on a process to living life the Miranda way. Everything from love life with her baes, to life hacks, to making homemade shampoo, to the ins and outs of nailing a job interview. This book claims to have it all. What really sells this book, however, is not necessarily the advice being told, but the hilarious voice that it's told in, and the huge attention to detail making this look like the randomly put together book Miranda Sings would create. There's my initial thoughts on the book. If you guys would like to see how I wrapped up this review, again, go to my blog, authoranthonyavina.tumblr.com. So, that was my review. And now let's get on to the main event of this week, shall we? 5 most anticipated books of 2016. My first book that I'm really anticipating is called End of Watch by Stephen King. Now, this is the final book in the Bill Hodges trilogy. I've read the first book, The Mercedes Killer, which was just incredible, really, really great. Really disturbing, but just really well written. I have yet to read Finders Keepers, which is the second book in the series, but I hope to do that soon. The paperback for that should be coming out soon. The Mercedes Killer from the first book is in the hospital, supposedly just in a vegetative state, but somehow he's managing to influence people surrounding him into committing horrific crimes. He's also created a hypnotic fishing game that gets people to commit suicide, and hopes to take out those who stopped his mass killing in the first book, Hodges, Holly, and Jerome, as well as trigger a mass suicide. This book is coming out June 7th, 2016, and it looks to be just incredibly powerful and a great end to the trilogy. I love these characters, and Stephen King has just done it again. The second book I'm anticipating is Lady Midnight, the first in the Dark Artifices book series by Cassandra Clare. This is a sequel to the Mortal Instruments, and it takes place 5 years after the events of the final Mortal Instrument book. This book is going to follow a new shadow hunter living in Los Angeles, which I love because I love California. I live in California. And I'm really looking forward to seeing a change of pace from the New York setting, and getting to see the Shadowhunter life in LA. It's kind of like when Angel had his spin-off series on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you saw him move to LA. It's kind of what it reminds me of. This book comes out March 8th, 2016. It's the first in a brand new series, so I can't wait to read it. Cassandra Clare has done a great job with the Mortal Instruments series, and I can't wait to see what's next. The third book I'm really anticipating is a Marvel young adult novel. It's actually the sequel to Black Widow Forever Red, which I am currently reading. It's called Black Widow Red Vengeance by Margaret Stohl. This book will bring famed Avenger Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, together with the Red Widow, Anna Orlova. This looks to be a really good, intense book. I've just started reading the first book, and It's really well written. I love it, and I love the espionage side of the Marvel Comics. So I'm really looking forward to reading this first book and reading the second book when it comes out. My fourth anticipated book is an unnamed book, actually. It's going to be a young adult novel written for Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, in the Marvel Universe. And it's another young adult book from Marvel. And it's going to be coming out sometime in 2016. I don't know what the plot is, but I've always loved the character of Captain Marvel. And I'm really looking forward to a live adaptation of her. And I can't wait to read a book all about her. She deserves to have the spotlight, so I'm really looking forward to that. Finally, guys, my fifth most anticipated book of 2016. This is it. This is the big cheese, as they say. I'm really looking forward to this book. I just read about it. It's called The Girls by Emma Cline. It's coming out June 14th, 2016. And it takes place at the end of the 1960s in Northern California. A teenage girl, I think she's 14 years old, they say in the description, meets a group of women and an enigmatic leader. This book has cult activity written all over it, kind of like the Manson family. And I've always been fascinated by the dynamics that go into creating a cult, the poor souls who get sucked into it, and the deluded mind that creates and becomes the leader of cults, Charles Manson, the whatchamacallit, I was just reading about this and I know I've heard of it before. Jonestown, Jim Jones. If you guys have never heard of it, look it up. It's really disturbing. It's not necessarily fascinating because I enjoy any of it. It's just because I find it fascinating to see how someone could get sucked into that world. It's sad to see that happen, and I've always been fascinated with what made the Manson family come together and the circumstances that were around it. And I think this book is really going to do a great job of exploring that theme. So, yeah. Hold on one second, guys. I'm sorry about that, guys. I got a package in the mail. I had to go get. Anyways, that is it, guys. Those were my top 5 most anticipated books of 2016. I hope you enjoyed this. In the comments below, I want you to tell me what your most anticipated book of 2016 is. Is it one of the ones I mentioned? Is it something I've never heard of before? Leave your thoughts down below. Tell me what you guys are really looking forward to. There are others I'm looking forward to as well. Some YouTuber books and all that. These are my most anticipated. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. In the comments below, like I said, leave your suggestions for what you're looking forward to in 2016. Make sure you follow us on all our social media feeds as well. The links are down below for our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Snapchat, all that fun stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Give this video a big thumbs up, like this video, comment on it, favorite it, and share it. And also, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you're new to the channel, you enjoy what you heard today, hit that subscribe button. It means so much to me. And I do a podcast every single week, or at least I try to. And yeah, I'd like for you guys to stick around and hang out. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, thank you so much for tuning in. Can you please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already? And leave your reviews, your thoughts, your opinions on the podcast, what you'd like to hear me talk about next week, or anytime really. And I'll, give some consideration and, love to work with you guys. I always love your opinions. I love hearing your thoughts. And my main job here is to also teach and entertain you guys. So, hope you guys will stick with me, tune in as we go into next week, week 35, or episode 35. And that's everything, guys. Thanks so much for watching or listening. And I will see you guys next week for a brand new episode of the Writer's Corner podcast. This is your host, author Anthony Avina, signing out. Long days and pleasant nights, my friends.